On this, the April 18th edition of What's Going On with Shipping, we've got a breakout of ships from the Persian Gulf. I'm your host, Sal Mercogliano. Welcome to today's episode. So, to say this is the craziest episode we've filmed so far on the Strait of Hormuz would be a bit redundant because we've said that a lot, but this is the craziest episode I've ever filmed on What's Going On with Shipping regarding the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, this is batshit crazy stuff. And I've used that phrase too quite repeatedly in this area. Okay. I was flying back from University of Michigan yesterday, trying to get home when all of this transpired, and it was crazy. I used a thumbnail the other day that showed Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, and I think this may be the most appropriate thumbnail I've used during this entire escapade. It is definitely applicable right now. All right, we're going to break this down for you because the problem has been the situation has changed. Everyone is casting their viewpoint to match the exact moment in time that fits their narrative. I'm going to give you the evidence. You determine for yourself what the Whiskey Tango Foxtrot is going on here. And more importantly, try to differentiate what we're seeing on social media, mainstream media, and everything. If you're new to the channel, hey, take a moment, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you'll be alerted about new videos as they come out. All right, first, let's look at the Strait of Hormuz. This is a current snapshot of the Strait of Hormuz as of about 11:19 on April 18th. So a couple of things to orient yourself here. These yellow things, these are the internationally recognized traffic separation schemes. The one above to the north here is the inbound lane. You come from the Gulf of Oman, and I should note that we're focusing on the Strait of Hormuz today. The U.S. blockade isn't on this chart here. It's actually down here in the lower right. It's out in the Gulf of Oman and the northern Arabian Sea. But if you come inbound, you come through this northbound lane here, you hit this one, you do your little arc here around the northern tip of Oman, south of Iran. This is Iran up here. All of this is Iran on the northern side here. And then off into the Persian Gulf. When you come out, you take the southbound, you take the southern route, outbound, and same way. All right. I'm going to add in here a feature that's going to show you the territorial waters here of Iran. So this is Iranian waters right here. So this is when you're in sailing, you actually sail part of the route through Iranian waters, and then the other part is in Omani waters. But under the UN Convention of the Law of the Seas, you have the right for what's called transit passage. Under Article 34, 37, and a whole batch of other articles, you are allowed to make transit through territorial waters of countries to access other countries. Up the Persian Gulf, or excuse me, up the Strait of Hormuz, up the Persian Gulf here is Kuwait, Bahrain, Oman, Qatar, countries that don't have access to it, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, all those countries need access to the sea, so you're allowed to do it. The problem is that Iran has established this tow lane system here. They have basically declared the traffic separation scheme as dangerous areas. They're alluding to mines in the area, and they've created new lanes, lanes that go through exclusively Iranian territorial waters. The inbound lane goes between Qishim and Larak Island there on the upper right, that little round circle there between the two traffic separation schemes, that's Larak Island. And then the outbound lane goes south of Larak Island, just above the old traffic separation scheme. And Iran has been controlling this. This is the toll booth that they have been controlling with allegations that they're charging money to go through it. So you're seeing a couple of things on this chart. I threw the names in. A batch of cruise ships are making their outbound passage right now. They've passed to the area just south of the traffic separation scheme and north of Oman. If we throw the nautical chart feature here, there is sufficient water to pass north of Oman and south of the traffic separation scheme. The numbers you see here on the chart are in meters. So they can do it. There's just a question about, are these waters safe from mining? That's been the big question. And then we have a couple of oddball ships here, but what I want to do is kind of take you past 24 hours through this. All right, so the news has been all over the place. Again, depending on who you saw, what you read, it changed over time. This is a quick synopsis over the past roughly 24 hours. So beginning yesterday, April 17th, Iran and Trump declare Hormuz open, but route mines and U.S. blockade cloud reality. Now, President Trump and then the foreign minister for Iran said, quote, that the passage for all commercial vessels through the Strait of Hormuz is declared completely open for the remainder of the ceasefire. That triggered a kind of exodus toward the Strait of Hormuz, as you'll see play out here. Then later in the afternoon, we got this: shipping industry pushes back on open Hormuz narrative as risks persist. So there was fear that, listen, don't take the words of the U.S. and Iran. There's still a lot of danger in the straits. Then we get this: Iran's requiring the IRGC coordination for Hormuz transit. So it's not just you can just head for the strait and go. You still have to coordinate with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. And there were provisions being put on this, including things like unfreezing Iranian funds. So while the foreign minister said the strait is open, the IRGC said, hang on a second. And then we get this morning: Iran's Navy tells ships Strait of Hormuz shut again. 2 vessels report gunfire. All right, let's go and Juan Brown this thing and break it down for you. All right, well, first off, for those who don't know, Juan Brown runs a YouTube channel called Blancaleria, where he breaks down aviation incidents. And this always, whenever I do this, it reminds me of Juan. I live my life through Juan Brown. I try to emulate Juan as much as I can. And if you don't watch him, you really should. He's absolutely fantastic. All right, I set this to 17 April at 1200 UTC time, and like everything else involved in this mess of a story, nothing as simple as it sees. The northern part of the strait up here in Iran keeps +3 times, so it's 1500 hours here. It's 3 in the afternoon on 17 April. And the southern part, it's 4 in the afternoon. It's 1600 hours because Oman keeps +4. Again, why make anything simple in this entire story when we don't friggin' have to? So we get the message that the strait is open, and your first contestant heading for the strait is this little guy right here, the Celestial Discovery. That's right. Dark blue is cruise ships. Red are tankers. Green are cargo ships. And our favorite guy here, the Celestial Discovery, is heading for the strait. This is Celestial Discovery. She's a 23-year-old passenger ship flagged in Malta, about 42,000 gross tons. She's one of 2 ships for Celestial Lines, small Greek-owned cruise company. They got stuck in the Persian Gulf with about 5 other cruise ships that were there. And so Celestial Discovery is going to take that southern route there and bolt out of it. But in the meantime, after Celestial Discovery makes a route, what you start to see here, I'm going to remove the names because it gets a little confusing here, is a batch of ships, green ships coming from this anchorage here right at the UAE-Oman border, and then from this massive tanker anchorage here, ships, these little arrows, are all heading for the Strait of Hormuz with the indication that the strait is open. You've had the Iranian foreign minister say the strait is open. You had Donald Trump say the strait is open. So everybody's going to assume the strait is open. But what we see is ships get up here and they stop. They basically will not come through. You'll see there's a CMA CGM ship here, the Everglade. CMA CGM, one of the large container liners. CMA CGM had a ship come out not too long ago. They were able to get that deal with Iran to get their ship out. But the freighters kind of hold position here. The tankers, however, try to make a run for it. And what we start seeing are these tankers maneuvering in the position here to kind of make a run out of it. Now, there's a small little Egyptian ship tries to come out here, the Gi, but it will turn around. There's a tanker that we're going to come back to here, Samir Herald. Samir Herald is going to be one that tries to make that approach out but gets turned around. Everybody's kind of holding in position. Now, there's a batch of small little vessels, very small little coastal vessels that are hugging the southern channel here coming out. We see those kind of come out all the time. But what we see all of a sudden is a row of tankers start making a run for it here. And these tankers start heading out. They're kind of a line of them coming out led by a ship called the Torin. Now, Torin is a product tanker or an oil chemical tanker, 21 years old, flagged in Panama, roughly around 46,000 tons. But what's interesting about this vessel is this vessel has a bit of a kind of interesting past. You'll see that it's been flagged for sanctioned cargo in the past, plus not exactly sure about its insurance. Another ship following it is this vessel, the Guardian, a LPG tanker, liquefied petroleum gas, 31 years old, flagged in Angola, about 79,000 cubic meters. This is a ship that has been sanctioned, part of what we refer to as the Dark Fleet. And then another vessel coming in. I'm not going to run them all. I'm just going to give you a highlight here of those first 3 vessels heading out. The Rain, which is an LPG tanker, 25 years old, flagged in Guyana, about 80,000 cubic meters. And again, another Dark Fleet vessel coming out. Now, a vessel I want to highlight to you is this vessel right here, the Mashtaraka 4, which is heading inbound to the Persian Gulf through the international strait. Now, this is a bulk carrier, 29 years old, flagged in Panama, 72,000 tons. This vessel shows to be a clean vessel, so this ship is trying to use the internationally approved channel to make an inbound voyage, obviously listening to President Trump. Now, we're seeing a line of tankers coming out. Those tankers are making a move for the strait, but this is where we get an indication of something that happens, which is a bit of a problem, because right around 0920 hours, there is going to be a report of an attack on one of these tankers. So you see the container ships are starting to move, those green vessels, more tankers heading for the strait. I'm going to pause it here right at about 9:20 UTC time. And again, the ship we mentioned earlier, the Sanmar Herald. Now, this is Sanmar Herald, an Indian crude carrier, very large crude carrier, 309,000 tons, 19 years old. This ship was heading outbound when we get this report from the United Kingdom's Maritime Trade Office. The master of a tanker reports being approached by 2 IRGC gunboats, no VHF challenge, and then fired upon the tanker. Tanker and crew are reported safe. So that position basically matches up with Sanmar Herald. And what's interesting here is our good friends over at Tanker Trackers, Samir Madani and his crew over there, posted on their X this communication from Sanmar Herald on VHF bridge-to-bridge radio, very high frequency. Now, I've got this cranked up a bit so that you can hear it, so just to be prepared.
Navy, motor tanker Sanmar Herald, Sepa Navy, you gave me clearance to go. Sepa Navy, this is motor tanker Sanmar Herald, you gave me clearance to go. My name second on your list, you gave me clearance to go. You are firing now, let me turn back.
So that attack on Sanmar Herald is going to turn the ship around, and what you see here is exactly that. She is heading west now, back into the Strait of Hormuz and away from that passage. Now, it should be interesting to note here, I'm going to remove names here for a second, as Sanmar Herald goes back, 4 cruise ships make the exit out of the straits here, heading southbound. They're heading southbound here, heading out. So a line of these cruise ships, including Celestial Journey, the sister ship of Celestial Discovery, and Mein Schiff 4, Mein Schiff 5, they are all heading out. Now, I back this up for a second to 11:25 hours. You'll notice up here several container ships, including CMA CGM Diamond and CMA CGM Everglade, all have turned and are heading back in. We get this report from the UK MTO office at 11:25, a report of a container ship being hit by an unknown projectile which caused damage to some of the containers. No fires or environment damage impacted. Authorities are investigating. So very quickly, within 2 hours after the attack on Sanmar Herald, a container ship, probably one of the CMA CGM ships, reports an attack. And then we get this report as of 12:08 UTC. Master of a cruise ship reports sighting a splash in close proximity of the vessel. Vessels are advised to report suspicious activity. That lines up exactly with these ships right here, MSC Eurybia, the Mein Schiff 4, the Mein Schiff 5, all of them heading out. Not sure which of those cruise ships it is, but that lines up perfectly with those ships. I'm going to go ahead and let this run out to the present time here, and what you see is everybody who is heading outbound here has now turned around. So we got a breakout of some tankers coming out. The majority of them are dark fleet tankers coming out, so the traditional kind of regular vessels that are normally flagged and shored and operating in normal business did not get out. So we're going to see a spike for 18 April for the vessels coming out, but this is the image right now on marine traffic for 18 April at 15:25 UTC time. So obviously a very confusing image that we had in the Strait of Hormuz. What I try to do here, what's going on with shipping, is break it down for you and give you the best information I have, match the evidence with what's happening so that you have a better concept and understand what's happening. Because right now it is, again, I've used the phrase, it's batshit crazy. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, that's going to be my phrase I think we're going to use to replace Bob El Mandeb. Cheers. On the show, we used to have, during the Red Sea, said Bob El Mandeb so many times, someone started a drinking game, and I apologize. I probably damaged someone's liver out there. Now it's Strait of Hormuz, batshit crazy, and a whole batch of other phrases that I am not proud have become very common here on what's going on with shipping. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, hey, take a moment, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell. And please, if you do subscribe to the channel, just check, make sure you're still subscribed. For some reason, YouTube likes to dump people off. We're heading toward a big milestone, 700,000 subscribers. Been a big jump over this past couple of months for some strange reason. People are tuning in, and I appreciate that greatly. Leave a comment, share it across social media, give it a big thumbs up, and if you can, support the page. How do you do that? You hit the super thanks button down below, or head on over to Patreon and become a monthly, yearly subscriber. Till our next episode or the next crazy run for the Strait, this is Al, signing off.